Hello everyone and welcome to another very exciting game. This one is from round 3 of the Norway Chess 2022. It's from the classical section and it's Magnus Carlsen versus Teimour Rajabov. Two of them have played quite a lot of games together. So far their head-to-head result is 9 wins for Magnus and 2 wins for Teimour with 21 draws. So very exciting stuff as they've played so many classical games together. But this one is well, it's pretty standard what you would expect from a game where Rajabov is playing with the black pieces. You know that he always plays very active chess. He sometimes gives up a little bit of material, sometimes a lot of material, but the games are always very exciting, and this is no exception. So let's check it out. Magnus with the white pieces opens with d4, and we're going to have a very nice Catalan. So Rajabov goes knight to f6, we have c4, e6, knight to f3, and d5. The queen's gambit declined is on the board, and now g3. Magnus opts for the Catalan opening. We have bishop to e7 and bishop to g2 now. The closed Catalan, we have castles, and now d captures on c4. Proceeding in the classical line, queen to c2, ready to pick up the pawn on c4. That's doubled, and now usually a6 is played here, but Rajabov goes for b5. He defends the pawn, which is not that common, but it's also very much playable. Now, the thing is, yes, you open up this diagonal, but you don't really have any good jumps with the knight. If knight to e5, we're just going to play knight to d5, which is kind of the square that this knight really needs to go to. So there's that. And for example, if e4, if you want to grab the full center, chase away the knight, you will run into trouble after knight to b4. So now it's just a very good position for black. So instead, after b5, Magnus challenges the structure with a4 right away. This is how this is played. Bishop to b7, we have a captures on b5, and now Rajabov makes it very interesting by playing a6. And okay, b captures on a6, knight captures, and now queen captures on c4 again. This has all been played before. Bishop to d5 attacking Magnus's queen here, and now the popular retreat squares are c3 and d3. Magnus chooses the c3 square, and now we have pawn to c5. You do not want to have this backwards pawn all the way on c7, so c5 you want to trade it off. And now all the games that reach this position, bishop to e3 is the move that was played in them. One of the more notable ones, Wesley So has defeated Jan Nepomniachtchi in this exact same position with bishop to e3. But here Magnus plays bishop to f4. It's a new move, so already as of move 13 we have a completely new game. Now, Rajabov goes for knight to e4. He challenges the queen, and usually with the bishop on e3, the queen is retreated to e1 after this attack from the knight. But here Magnus plays queen to c1. So already it's quite a different position than maybe what Rajabov had in mind. So here c captures on d4. You want to trade this. There's no reason not to. Knight captures, and now comes knight e to c5. And here Magnus already confuses Teimour a little bit. Knight to b4 is much better because you want to trade down not too many pieces. Here, okay, you could trade rooks, but let's say knight to c3. Now you defend your rook with the queen, and now we can trade everything like this. For example, knight captures, b captures, we're going to play bishop captures on g2, king captures, now knight back to d5. We attack the pawn and the bishop, and you could go back with bishop to d2, but you could also just trade. For example, captures, we push e4, knight captures, queen captures, and we get this position where it's Rajabov's bishop against a knight, and Magnus has a passed c pawn, but it shouldn't be possible to win this with white. However, it is Magnus who is up a pawn, and it can only be white who's ever better here. So maybe that's the way to go. But okay, knight e to c5 was played, and now Magnus just captures on d5. You'll see the difference. Bishop captures, we have queen captures on d5, and now bishop back to e3, just defending his knight. And now you're constantly gonna have to be careful about this push pawn to b4. For the moment, it's not possible, but you can see how that position was a bit easier for black to play than this one. So he goes queen back to b7, controls the b file. Now comes knight to d2, and now rook a to c8. You don't want to play rook f to c8 because that kind of makes it problematic to you for you to move your pieces. If you move the knight, Magnus will very happily just trade. So instead, Rajabov brings this rook to c8, and now we have queen to b1, getting the queen away from the c file, and also b4 will come at some point. So knight to b4, and now knight 4 back to f3. We have queen to b5 going after the e2 pawn, and Magnus just calmly defends it with rook to e1. We have rook f to d8, finally bringing that rook into the game, and now king to f1. We defend the e2 pawn, and now our rook can also get into the game. h6, Rajabov makes some breathing room for the king here, and rook to c1. So Magnus still up a pawn. He's getting his pieces into the game because Rajabov was way ahead in development. Now Magnus is catching up a bit, but still no actual clear way how to push that pawn. Bishop to f8. And now knight to e4, and now Magnus offers a knight trade, and it's pretty impossible to prevent this. You're attacking the c5 square 3 times, so knight to b3. This is how Rajabov decides to trade this. Now both of the rooks are attacked, so you have to play rook captures on c8. This is the only move for Magnus. Rook captures, and now knight to c3. Here your rook is hanging, but if you just do something about that, and there's not all that much you can do, then this rook is coming to c2, which will be a pretty big problem. So here the way to deal with this is knight to c3. We attack the queen first, and only after the queen moves, now we move the rook to a4, as now the knight also defends the a4 square, so it's not as possible for Rajabov to make some sort of a tricky move. And here we have knight to d5, and knight to d5 is very interesting, but we also need to discuss bishop to c5, as this is much safer, and again it allows Rajabov to just grab hold of the position, because now, for example, queen e4, we defend our bishop here. Now comes knight to d5. Now we're just threatening to pick up the bishop, and there's no good way to deal with this, because if you capture the bishop, then we're just going to play knight captures on c5, attack the queen and the rook here. So what you will do probably is just move the rook to c4, and now we're going to play knight captures on e3 with check, mess up white's pawn structure, and then just continue the game. Okay, we don't want to trade queens, we're going to play queen to a6, and now Magnus is still up a pawn, but we've ruined his king side. We're going to be able to attack the white king a little bit easier, and well, even if everything just disappears from the board, it's a doubled e pawn, so it's not as clean as being up a pawn. But here after knight to d5, it's a little bit different, because now Magnus just trades on d5, queen knight captures, queen captures, and now plays king to g2. And again, it's classical, so we need to discuss some really awesome lines. Queen to d3, just offering a queen trade, seems like it's not enough. Yes, you are up a pawn, but it shouldn't be enough. However, here it becomes very interesting. After captures, there's no clear good move for black, because the move that comes to mind is of course rook to c2, and now, okay, once you have the rook on the 7th or on the 2nd, it's you know, you just don't care being down a pawn, but here rook a8, and white just wins. That's the problem. There's no good way to defend, and even, okay, you can capture, yes, you are controlling c5, so white doesn't have bishop c5, there's knight e5, we're just gonna play knight d7, win the bishop, and that's it. There's no way to defend this. So you can't really play this rook to c2 move, and without this active rook to c2 move, it's not easy to find a move. Some f6 g5 ideas maybe, but it's hard to say. So instead, okay, Magnus played king to g2, and now queen back to c6. Now Rajabov with full control of the c file, and the knight on b3 prevents that pawn from ever moving forward. But here we have rook to a7 by Magnus, and now Rajabov needs to find the move, and he plays g5, and this is in fact a very good move. It's a top move recommended by the engine. The problem is, this is only move 30. Magnus has 40 minutes on the clock. Rajabov has 3.5 minutes on the clock. So he still needs to make 10 more moves to reach time control. And Magnus plays queen to d3. Just a nice move, activating the queen. Now comes knight to c5. Attacking the queen. Now comes queen c4 and queen to b6, unpinning from the c file and also attacking the rook here. Now comes the b2 pawn is also attacked, so queen a2 defending b2 and the rook here, and now queen back to c6. So Rajabov survived all of this, but now it's just possible to push the b pawn. And this is exactly what Magnus does. We have pawn to b4, and the position is now incredibly difficult to defend. The only move that allows Rajabov to stay in the game is knight to b7, but even now, even with this move, it's difficult to defend. After knight to d7, the position is impossible to hold because there's one move that doesn't come to mind immediately, but you guys will find it. I have no doubt about that once you pause the video and find this incredible move that wins the game for Magnus, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing that the b pawn is actually unstoppable, and pawn to b5 wins the game. This is what Magnus played, so congratulations to everyone who spots this. And notice that this would not be possible if the pawn was not on b4. Just putting that out there. And now the point is that if the queen captures on b5, which is of course what most of you are wondering, I imagine, what happens now, black just blunders a knight. That's the problem. Knight d4, and the queen has no squares to keep defending the knight on d7. It's just, I mean, crazy. You could play queen to d5. Okay, this comes with check, and also we force a queen trade, but, I mean, white will just trade queens and then pick up the knight, so that's no way to do it. So after knight to d4, there actually isn't a good move for Rajabov here. He would have to play something, but there really isn't a move. Whatever you play, we're just going to capture the knight, and we are up a piece. So, of course, completely winning. So, the b pawn cannot be captured. Teimour moves the queen to d6, and now Magnus played queen to a6, and it was in this position on move 36 that Rajabov resigned the game, or rather, well, he didn't lose on time, but he resigned with 4 seconds on the clock. He still needs to make 4 more moves to reach time control, but there just isn't a move to make. Whatever you play here, it's just too easy to win this. The pawn is marching forward and it's game over. And especially if you trade queens, which is kind of a nice move, for example, captures, it's just too easy to win this. Now it's an outside pass pawn and there's no way to stop it. Let's say knight c5, we put pressure on the pawn, block the bishop, knight e5. Now we can even go after the f7 pawn, and after something like f6, we're going to play knight to d7. Now attack the bishop, attack the knight. There's no way. White is just too active and too powerful. If knight captures, rook captures, the pawn is now coming to a7, and that's it. Let's say rook a8, a7, and just the simple rook b7 to b8 wins the game. There's no way for black to stop this. Let's say bishop somewhere. So really weird position. We're gonna play this, and after king moves, let's say this, and it's still completely winning. Of course, if you capture, we bring a queen into the game, and if you capture on a7, we pick up the rook. Now we're up a full rook, and of course completely winning. So definitely an interesting game between Magnus and Rajabov in the style that they usually play. Magnus very precise, and Rajabov also very precise and very combative, you know, just giving up a pawn, going for activity, trying to push, being aggressive, but Magnus just defended well, and in the end it was the pawn to b4 to b5 that won the game for white, which isn't odd. I mean, it's a passed b pawn. What else do you expect? So yeah, after queen to a6, Rajabov resigned, and the Magnus gets his first classical win in round 3 of the Norway Chess 2022. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to cover some other games from round 3, as there are very enjoyable games here, so stay tuned for that. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Drew, as it is his birthday, and I would like to thank Alexander John Huar, Valentin Moreira, Anand Legend, and Varun Sudarsanan for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this incredible event until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And we're going to discuss the standings, but only after we check out a few more games from round 3. See you soon.